Hey folks, it's Mark here from the Digital Nexus podcast. I'm here with Chris, but we're here at the Oz CryptoCon. There is some amazing things going on around us.
A lot of amazing stuff.
We've just done the walk around. We've seen, what have you seen, Chris? Like there's I've seen like the bull that you have to like ride on and stuff. The throwable basically.
Yep. Lots of interesting games. I really want to get into those experiences. Some VR.
The booth with all the money flowing around it and try to catch it.
A guy already figured out how to cheat that system.
Yeah, it's
like
a
you
good
just
strategy.
Back, block there.
Let all the money come to you, kind of
Everything
thing.
just fell onto him. He pretty much emptied the entire cash box. So I don't think they're gonna run anymore.
There's the large,
maybe
not.
That was the last one.
There's a large sledgehammer thing that's going on there as well. So where you've got to like hit it as hard as you can, see how high you can get the score. We might try that one out later.
Lots and lots of prizes, like money to be won.
Yeah, a lot of swag here, folks.
Was it Coinbase giving away $10,000
of Bitcoin,
which is pretty interesting.
Or just $10,000. Either or, it's great. There's a whole heap of like people that we know in the industry from running the Australian DeFi Association meetups, the sponsors, the various folks that have spoken, the people that we've been connected to around Australia. A lot of their companies are here, as well as all the new people into this space because it is a new cycle. I mean, I was looking at the price of Bitcoin is at 151,000 Australian dollars. It's 98,000 US.
I was going to say, it hasn't quite been able to cap that, hit that 100K, but you can see because of what is happening with the current price of crypto in general, across the board, things are on the rise. People are buzzing. People here are really excited.
Yeah.
They obviously have their wallets full. They're excited to get involved and see all the new things that are happening within their space. And a lot of that stuff also linking into with AI as well, which is pretty exciting. And
yeah, there's a few here that are actually doing some AI stuff in terms of what their offering is. Like they're trying to bring in AI to make it easier to do the crypto stuff that they do. And that is definitely interesting. And then there's also the crossover, like where people in AI don't realize just how important it is to have blockchain as part of it for securing the data, for securing the transactions.
That's what Psych is doing, right? This is how Psych is looking to use
exactly. This is part of the stuff that Psych is doing, especially around proving that humans are in the loop and being able to sign a digital attestation that is not only recorded, it can either be a blockchain or just a database, but the most important thing is a zero knowledge proof, so that if I need to prove to Chris as the auditor that I have done something, and I don't want to share everything about all the info there, but I want to provably verify that all these things are right, I can use zero knowledge proofs. So there's a whole lot of this technology. It's not just the investment, but there's stuff that we're building on and that we're interested in together that, you know, is really going to make these things amazing. So there's a whole heap of stuff.
It's really exciting to see these worlds finally cross over, because like obviously there was we had the blockchain wave, the excitement many years ago, 4 or 5 years ago.
Exactly.
The big boom across the entire industry, and then obviously the big dive and uprise is AI, the new technology. And AI is probably going to be bigger. I'm not going to lie, like in terms of its capability, its offering, its services, how it changes the way we do things.
Yeah.
But as soon as these two worlds cross over, like there's some pretty interesting and exciting things that are going to occur. As you know, we're in a live event right now.
Yes, I know. Definitely
walk in front of the camera, which is fun.
I'm not stopping people. I don't know.
We're in a public space. You're in a public shared area, so that's good.
But look, there's a whole lot of stuff we want to get through in both AI and blockchain news. It has been, as I mentioned last week, big blockchain week. We're here thanks to, we're in the social lounge today. We'll also be going roving reporting, and you'll be able to see later on in the show a couple of the other things that are going on.
We'll share it around probably on TikTok and stuff as well.
We'll share it on TikTok. We'll share it on, we'll do a compilation video of some sort. But we'll also do something for the Australian DeFi Association channel as part of this, because, you know, we're the founders of that. But I was just going to say, I wanted to say thanks to BingX for providing us a space in the social lounge.
Yep.
And our friend Vivian and all the folks that are there. So we'll work on that basically with, you know, the cool things that these groups all around Australia are starting to come back into. So, but speaking of news, well, actually, before we get into the news, what's been going on this week for you?
This week's been actually really interesting. As I talked about a lot in the weeks in the past around the work I've been doing in the research space and using a lot of tools. Though we're over at Digital Village, we're also building our own little AI solution, which is targeting at live chat and conversations and sales. And we've just finished our testing. We did quite a lot of beta testing within our organization. I don't want to say what the thing is yet, because there isn't a business out there that is doing this thing that we're doing within the live chat space. So really exciting that no one has backed onto this part of the AI market yet. Yeah, And so we're starting to put together our sales decks and looking at potentially investment, probably not investment, but more like investment from people's time to help us to build it out.
We'll have to see that app on the show at some point.
Yeah,
And speaking of
as soon
Digital
as it's ready
Village,
to go, we'll definitely put it out there. But yeah,
speaking of Digital Village, co-founders, I've seen Jason and his father walking around here today.
Papa Hardy and Jason Hardy, both
the Hardy
founders
boys.
and key investors in Digital Village. They're roaming about today as well. So we'll definitely have some conversations with them throughout the day. We'll share those out on social.
Yeah, that'll be good.
What about yourself, Mark? What's going on?
I've been at a few blockchain events. So the ACS, Australian Computer Society, had a panel all about getting into the space. A lot of new people that hadn't been in, learning about blockchain again because it's a popular topic. So
Exciting.
we had that. And then there was the Blockies Awards, which was the Digital Economy Council of Australia, formerly Blockchain Australia. They do these awards where they go out and they basically reward the folks that are, the best startup, the best fintech, the best community leader, which I won last year. So thank you. And it wouldn't be able to do it without the folks that are the folks that are watching, the folks that have been at our events, the folks that have supported us. It's a community effort. Like that community award definitely isn't an individual thing.
Yeah.
It represents a whole lot of what the folks are doing in the space. But we did that, and then there was a whole heap of like networking and after parties and all that kind of stuff. So it was really good to just get out there. And yesterday was the launch night for all of this Australian crypto convention. There's even something like a human diving pool. I don't know if they're going to dive in and wade for water over there. We'll get
so you can see the lifesavers on top watching.
There is a literal lifesaver there, folks. So it's going to be really interesting.
Some footage of that.
We'll have to get some footage of it. But yeah, apart from that, it's been blockchain kind of week for me. And this weekend, Saturday, Sunday, 23rd, 24th of November. And then I get to rest after that. So I'm looking forward to, going.
I wish I could rest. I'm like working right up to Christmas. I'm doing a bunch of talks to a few businesses around AI and how they can integrate it into organization, thinking about security, prompting,
Perfect.
right tools and decisions to use. So yeah, that's like leading me right up to Christmas. There's no rest.
I think folks are getting interested in it now, so that's all good. But yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Seeing that in the market, like quite a few businesses are starting to roll it out, especially in the finance space.
Exactly.
KPMG's before there was.
We've got some folks from KPMG here actually as well in the social lounge. But yeah, we'll. This is going to be interesting. But what's going on in the news? What are you up to?
Well, there's been a lot of stuff happening, a lot of little things happening, and I think we talked about this in our last few episodes where we're hitting that sort of precipice where the big updates are no longer really happening, and probably until the AGI is comes out into the market. So a lot of little incremental updates that we've started to see. Some people taking some photos of us. This is the guys from Bing X just taking some shots at us as we're talking in real time. But
what have you got?
So I think we'll start with Anthropic. So Amazon.
Oh, interesting.
Just doubled down on their investment with them. So they've just.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, let me just bring up the sources here. $4 billion reinvested into Anthropic.
Small,
double what they've done previously.
Pocket change of $4 billion from Amazon. Thank you.
And it doesn't really talk to what it is that they're investing in, but I think it's just like they've got a big 5-year roadmap for development and rollout, obviously leading into a lot of things within the AI space. A lot of their linking up with their cloud services, etc. But even more interesting is that I think Anthropic has had a pretty big takeover in the AI market, in market share and usage. You talk to you watch any of the biggest players out there in the AI space, news people, everyone is using Claude as their primary tool at the moment. So it's really starting to dominate.
Claude is such a cool tool for just like when they came out with the side panel where you can actually see things come to life. It's not like when ChatGPT give you code, you have to go apply it yourself. This thing came out, and when you activate it, I'm just losing the name right now, but it comes up with that side panel and builds stuff for you. Like if you want to, hey, make me a Spotify page that looks like blah, blah, blah. And, like what we did last week. So it's amazing what you see out of those tools, right? It came out of greatness.
So they're doubling down on that, which is pretty interesting. Also in that space, I mean, we're switching over then to their biggest competitor, OpenAI, who probably has a bigger handle on the business market. So it's where they're kind of owning that space now. We've got AI. OpenAI previously had their advanced model only available on the applications on mobile.
Only through ChatGPT, but now API.
But now it's available on the desktop on your browser.
Okay.
Your browser. So the advanced model wasn't previously available in browser, so they just started rolling that out. I checked it this morning for myself. I've got the advanced model in mind.
Yeah.
I know there was a couple people online who haven't had it activated yet, so I think they're doing a slow rollout for people who do have the pro version of course.
Very good.
This week also ChatGPT had a 4.0 update. I was going to bring up the article here.
Okay.
So they did a bit of an update in relation to the creativity and thinking for the 4.0 model.
Right.
So some things include improvement to their performance and capability. So
Okay.
faster load times, better thinking, and
Faster load times. I thought
faster load times.
I thought we went with the thinking model that
that'd
we
be
wanted to
1.0.
slow down.
1.0 is with the thinking.
01. Okay. So this is 4.0.
This is 4.0. This is
Okay.
specifically for the
Different
4.0.
models, folks. Different
Specifically,
things.
yeah. And then obviously that included the advanced chat or voice mode, which is live on. So a couple of people have come up with some articles who have been testing it, saying that it has really enhanced the creativity. I personally tested two prompts
Oh, right.
that I had previously done
Okay.
for in relation to the research piece, and the output wasn't that much different.
Mix.
But it wasn't that much harder. It was pretty similar. Like it was interesting because it was rethinking about the response.
Yeah.
With the exact same input, the exact same documents that I had put into it, the response was very, very similar.
Oh, wow.
I wasn't asking for anything creative, and the people have been.
Maybe there's like more testing and stuff.
Yeah, there was a lot more positive conversations around creativity of the tool. So I haven't tested that area out of it yet. Yeah. What about your side of things? They're the big players. Oh, there's one more here. I'll talk,
go ahead.
On the topic of big players, Gemini also just released a couple of updates, specifically improving their memory now.
Oh, really?
You can
Okay.
it now saves.
Wait.
It starts to learn and understand.
Gemini had they had 1 million token sizes memory where everyone else was like doing 128,000 or like 32,000. So they already had big memory anyway in the context window, but now it's
historic. So
okay.
So it's now about ability to sort of learn and provide more helpful relevance that's like in the post here. So you can easily view, edit, or delete any information that you've shared, see when it's been used.
That's interesting. Like, because memory is one of those things that when you look at how we do things, because it's very memento, like how you use ChatGPT.
Yeah.
After you use it or any tools like this, after you use it, it forgets. Like it needs that memory to remember things about conversations that you've had. But I heard a really good, and it's not on our list. I'll dive into it next week. But let me just say that someone put this in a video where it's like building with ChatGPT and all these like LLM and GPT tools and trying to get it to be AGI, like, to be able to reason or to be super intelligent. How is it going to do that when that's not how humans have been built, for example? Like we were built from the ground up with reasoning and logic and these building blocks. It's like building the pyramid from the top down and trying to brute force intelligence. There are different ways. There's actually something called liquid AI, which is actually using, and we'll get into it later, but it's a new way of like thinking about how AI can think. And it's it mixes natural world with
interesting models around that, like coming out around how AI trains and learns stuff. Obviously with the O1 model, there was a new way where it had to start questioning and like second guessing itself. You had the test and learn one, which we talked about last week, which is another way of thinking before they even start like questioning itself around how it pulls in the information. Now you've got Liquid that's come out, which is probably even more advanced again.
It's advanced in the way that it actually is set up. And it's one of these things where it's like, instead of trying to make things, smarter, which what this guy is saying is like and we'll share the video and dive into it. So I'll share it now, but we'll dive into it later. I really didn't want to like get into it now because there's so much I need to actually study on it. But we'll
do a separate thing on it.
We will. But the point is that anything that we're trying to add to just how we currently do just AI type things right now, it's almost like we have to go back to the building blocks because we're going about it in a way that hasn't actually built the building blocks. You're building the pyramid with the first few layers and then wondering why it always crumbles and stuff. And if you look at the evolution of mankind, how natural biology has evolved, there were things that happened before we got to the intelligent side of things. So it's just thinking about that. I'll leave folks with that thought.
This leads into the whole AGI discussion and what true AGI would be like. And I think, to your point, if you start with it knowing everything, is it learning? It's just
Yeah.
make assumptions. So you
It's
sort of go
memorizing.
go from the ground up.
It feels like the way that we're going about it now, it'll always just be memorization rather than something real. But anyway, that
Just back to that. I mean, that's a bit more advanced than what Gemini is able to do. But so it's just all about remembering the things that are relevant to you. So some of the, I'll pull up the video here, I'll play it here, but it's highlighting
yeah, you'll see some stuff in the video. Yeah.
preferences, dates, calendars, like conversations you've had before, the tone that you like to engage with. So all that historic stuff that makes it feel like it's your experience.
Okay.
Last one on the big players, we just got Claude here, who's also now integrated Google Drive reading. So you can now copy, say, your documents from Google Drive.
Oh, okay.
Paste that link directly into Claude and
then work with it.
and work with the document there as well, which you previously weren't able to do.
Very good.
Without using an API or something.
No, very good. I mean, there's a whole heap of stuff going on in AI. I'll talk about blockchain stuff in a little bit, but just on the AI side of things, I mean, did you see Bunnings getting in trouble with facial recognition stuff that they were doing?
Yes.
You saw that?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, that was something. And look, whether or not it was actually generative AI, which is a lot of what we talk about, or if it was just like them.
Well, it was just traditional, like the old machine learning. Like all cameras nowadays, they all do facial tracking.
Exactly. Well, so they came out with a counter to it because I think it was in how they stored the data, it wasn't compliant, etc. Or the fact that they were doing it without like having enough notices for people to see. You can read the case against them, but they came out with, and kind of rightfully so, we did this to protect our employees.
And then they showed the video of all the employees getting
all the
abused.
violent stuff I've never seen that.
I was blown away. I mean, you know about it, but you don't see it. You don't experience it.
Yeah.
It's crazy to see some of the stuff that they have to do with people stealing,
People be crazy.
bullying them, like hitting them. And, it was
Absolutely. So it was a little bit crazy to see that going on there. But in terms of like the rest of the AI stuff that I've seen, there's a really good video that I'll share here below. It's a guy that runs a channel called Internet of Bugs. I think his name's Chris as well.
Great.
Or it might not be Chris.
I'm Chris.
I'm not Chris. But anyway, he's got a great show. He's very pragmatic when it comes to looking at blockchain, when it comes to looking at AI. He's a developer, but I feel like unlike other critics of these spaces, he is actually very pragmatic. So he'll call things out, but he'll actually be seeing where the positive things are. Unlike others that, they make and get their internet points from just continually calling out shit, even when it's not shit. And that's the problem. They don't, they can't be swayed. It's always just one switch, which is negative. This guy might be negative to some, but it's like when you listen to it, there's actually some pragmatic things there. So I think really Internet of Bugs is good. He's talking about the AI impact on jobs, how tools like ChatGPT are reducing the need for entry-level programmers, threatening traditional career progression in tech. Certainly something to think about, not just in programmers, but what do junior lawyers do? How do they progress when stuff's like this? So things like that. Talks about networking being crucial. And when it comes to jobs that people are doing, there's a whole heap of like stuff where the more, personal and professional networks that you have, building and maintaining connections is really like the key. How do you do that when, AI is coming to like automate these jobs and the stuff that you would experience, like it just changes. So well worth watching that video. And then another one was, what do you call it? Ben Affleck.
Oh, I saw this. This happened like 2 weeks ago.
The guy from Good Will Hunting, that was not Will Hunting. The other one that was like, you're wicked smart, that dude. Turns out he's really into the AI. He's Batman. Batman is into the AI space. He was talking on CNBC, a well-known investment show, about AI's role in filmmaking, how it automates labor-intensive tasks, reducing costs and increasing efficiency, but the creativity limits, as you would expect. And look, as we know, being creatives and working in the spaces that we do, creating apps in data or creating apps for other people, like there are creativity limits at the moment, but it's like realizing that it's being unafraid of using AI.
It's a good point. It's like I raised this point the other day when we were doing one of our lean coffee experiences. We get a bunch of people together. We talk about key topics around a big table. Is like some 10, 15, sometimes 20 people that rock up to these little events that we run on a weekly basis. And the point that came up was it was around this creativity element. And what I highlighted was, did you ever watch the movie The Incredibles, the first Incredibles?
Yeah.
And the main villain,
Mr. Creative? No.
His whole goal was to try and make everyone super. He wanted to give everyone powers, and because he never got to have powers himself, and he was rejected by it as a kid. And so his philosophy towards the end is like, when everyone is super, no one's super.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing when you think about it from a creativity aspect, how AI is pulling all of its learning, its creativity from everyone else's creativity. So if everyone is using the same things,
Yep.
is anyone creative? So
Yeah.
the idea that I'm trying to suggest here is that your creativity will still come from that human element,
Exactly.
but AI will help inspire.
Yeah.
It's not going to be creative because it's not
Everyone-
thinking new stuff. It's pulling from the same
They
information.
probably had the same thing when the storytellers were out there, and there were only like they started to do the printing press, and people could have these repeatable books and stuff that were created. And then, people that were the storytellers, or the ones that could, the few that could read, oh no, we're being threatened because all these other people are learning. Skills pile up on skills, skills, skills. We have more skills now thanks to tools and technology
Exactly.
than our cavemen brethren did. And we will continue to build, and people 100 years from now, 5 years from now, 2 years from now, will have more skills than we have. It is just the inevitability, the innovation, the wheel of innovation just continues. You embrace it or it rolls over you. You learn to stand on top of it and walk with it, or it just rolls over you.
Standing on the shoulders of
Prophetic giants.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really interesting seeing this kind of stuff that's going on there. But I thought I'd jump to some blockchain stuff, unless you had some more AI
A
things.
couple of really small stuff. 11 Labs has come out with a new conversational agent, and obviously they're really good. It's, free agents, which is great. So utilize those for people who don't want to pay the big bucks for the existing agents. We got Perplexity's add ads to their and which we talked about last week. But so they're rolling out a lot of those features more and more. But
Oh yeah, it's all the ad stuff.
Shopping.
It's interesting because it'll, like, AI will recommend, like, if you're searching something, it's like the AI will recommend something quite interesting in terms of the shopping side of things.
Exactly right.
And they're getting rewarded for that.
Exactly.
But, like, man, AI powered shopping. I mean, if you're already into shopping, this is a scary moment, folks. Hide those credit cards.
Hide those credit cards. So then, but I don't know. Perplexity, I think, is not. I've stopped using it as much as I used to. I was really heavily into it before.
Yeah.
Now, since ChatGPT in particular is really
They've got ChatGPT has search. Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, I think it's a little bit better for me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, VO had an update, which was really interesting for
Vercel.
We talked about Vercel.
We showed it last week.
Comparing it to the likes of Build.
Bolt.new, and then also Claude, in terms of how could you build applications like using it. Yep.
I just want to open this up because this was very interesting, the stuff that they do. So you can now create and run full stack Next, JavaScript, and React natively within the tool, which is really interesting.
Okay.
You can create multiple files in one generation. Link and deploy to Vercel projects, and use Vercel projects in environment and variables. So I'll link the post there that we'll capture this from.
Yeah, fantastic.
Nice little video showing some examples there as well. So definitely check that out.
Absolutely.
The competition in the dev space is really picking up.
It's heating up.
And a Bolt is definitely, for me, being the clear winner at the moment. But with some of these updates coming out from Vercel, and also big investments on Claude,
not just the updates, but being open, having it as open source, because you can download Bolt, develop further things on it, and people have. So you don't just have to use Bolt Basic, which is like on the web, but you could use one of the other things. Like you could just download it yourself and just do something with it. Or B, you could download one of these things that someone else has created with all the extra add-ons to make life easier as a new developer, an existing developer, etc.
Exactly right. The last one for me is just around, so we talk a lot about, obviously, AI and the tools and the big players. I just want to talk about technology here. And one of the things I'm most interested in and excited about is that link between AI and quantum computing, because that's going to unlock pretty much unlimited potential, which is probably a bit scary if you think about it.
Yeah.
Especially as we move into the AGI space, where you kind of want that unlimited computing power for it to really become human.
Yeah.
Quantum computing is going to be that big game changer for it. But previously, or historically speaking, quantum computing has had its limitations around how it thinks and how it processes information. It always gets to a point where it starts to make errors and bugs out in the traditional sense. And they've recently, with Google, in partnership with Google, been using AI to find those errors within the quantum computing languages.
Okay.
And so that's a bit of an interesting pathway there as we start to solve those issues that we're having within the quantum space. And so AI is trying to resolve those.
Absolutely.
As we start to get very meta.
Yeah, exactly.
Solving its own mindset and its own human body. So that's gonna be where it leads into.
It's a social lounge, folks. Just people walking through, so all good.
But that's it for me, mate. There's a lot of other things. We'll put links in the descriptions below. But I think that in terms of the most important stuff, that's where we go from there.
So one of the other things, folks, that I wanted to cover here, and especially as we're transitioning well, not transitioning. The intention always was with digital nexus to be about digital. In some spaces, like government, they don't say blockchain; they say digital because they don't want to say, the blockchain was a bad word. It's not a bad word anymore, I don't think. Crypto maybe was a bad word. It's okay to say crypto, as Steve Vallis says. Shout outs to Steve. But yeah, there's a bit of news going on in the blockchain space. But
Yep.
digital nexus, Chris. It's we got to cover this
Babe,
stuff.
this is tech. Let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I mentioned the Blockies, and there's various award winners. Some of the folks there you can see on the LinkedIn post that I have here. So, congratulations to folks that are in the space. It's in my Founders Journey weekly newsletter, which talk about like different things going on. So, RMIT University Education Leader of the Year, Independent Reserve with a Crypto Exchange and Organization of the Year. Yuvraj was like the Rising Star of the Year. Joni Pirovich was Blockchain Leader of the Year. Ben Simpson, Danielle Marie, Fireblocks, Hashlock, Bedazzle, Block Earner, Grinio. They were all award winners. So amazing stuff to all of those folks. So that was something that was like really big. There's going to be a talk later on in about an hour and a half that we're going to go check out. So my co-founder Arturo, from blockchain to AI stuff, and before that we worked as data scientists in an investment bank. So we've known each other for a little while, almost a decade. Can you believe it?
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. He's going to do a talk. It's a panel about red flags, scams, and things to look out for. And because it's a new cycle with new people in this space, after Trump was elected and the whole space is like rising up in terms of pricing, I think like each time that it comes in, unless we improve things and we have better guardrails, shit's going to happen again where people get hurt. And so they'll be talking about the things to look out for. And so check that out. And I just want to say, I put out an article and you'll see it below, but just like a call to action, like we need to think and do better. Just because we're in it again, like having people come up and go, oh, okay, great. We're going to, we're going to pump this token and all that kind of stuff without the protections, without helping the investors or even projects themselves, getting more protections around how they protect the project in terms of the hackers, but also how they protect their own like people that are building in it. Like before ICOs, the initial coin offerings, and even DAOs that have been out, there were things in there where people were promised, like Chris, you were promised like equity in this, a share, and it wasn't coded into the smart contracts. So what I'm saying is we weren't even using the tech that we're promoting to help actually protect the people that are trying to promote the tech. It was ridiculous that we didn't do that kind of
Interesting.
stuff. It was it's one of these glaring things that should just be obvious. And it's also like with AI, well, oh my God, we can't use AI because our data's not ready. Use AI to help get your data ready. Use blockchain to protect yourselves from the shit that blockchain.
I'd love to ask you a question specifically around the security aspect of things. If like we think about it, if we compare the the investment in for the traditional banks,
Yeah.
traditional money transferring.
Yep.
There's a lot of investment that goes into security and making sure that your normal banks, your normal data, even though sometimes it does get hacked and sometimes does get breached, but the normal data and stuff, it does have a lot of investment into the security aspect thing. Do we think that businesses in the crypto space, blockchain space,
Yeah.
are putting the same level of effort around security to protect people's information?
I think some are not, and then we see others that definitely are. And not only are they doing things that they think will be needed to get licensed, like AFSLs, but they're actually doing more. And by that, I mean there are businesses out there that are actually using the tech to do more than just like what the legislation requires. So I'll give you an example. Not of a business doing it. I'll let them talk for themselves. But imagine that in the real world, like the current traditional finance world, we have rules and regulations, what you can and cannot do.
And a lot of rules and regulations like that. Yeah.
A lot. And you have enforcement after the fact because you can still break the law, right? You can sell tokens, or sorry, you can sell shares. You're a retail investor. This is a wholesale product. I can share it with you. I can sell it to you and then get in trouble after the fact. Crypto companies got in trouble for this. Normal companies got in trouble for this. What I'm saying is that with smart contracts, it could be a situation where you're whitelisted. Unless you're a whitelisted wholesale investor, I can't even, if I wanted to, sell you the token.
Yeah.
So what I mean is that with blockchain, you could actually enforce things on the token. So we could actually have better rules and regulations. We could have regulation active as it's happening. So we don't do that enough in blockchain, which is a wonder for me, coming into this space 3 years ago. But we could actually use that stuff in the real world as well.
I think it does stem from, I guess, the mentality of where blockchain's situated with, I guess, people in the general public is this openness, this freedom. And so it tries to build itself around these like limitless capabilities. And therefore people don't put this infrastructure in place to secure it because everyone's
Thinking that
you're pulling me down for the thing I want to use that to lift.
I
me
know
free
they
from
want their
the-
freedom and stuff, but then
Yeah.
people will cry, why don't we have protections when
Exactly.
scams happen?
Exactly.
And it's just like, you
Catch
can't-
22, right?
Catch-22, but we can have actual like better self-regulation. And if we were better self-regulated, I don't think we'd have as much scrutiny as the industry has had over the years.
Exactly.
But because it's been so gung-ho and Wild West, and I mean, even like a few years ago, this convention, which is great and all, like I'm not bemoaning it or anything like that, but there was some vendors that we hear that were just rug pulls. They were just definite scams, or like they tasted it. And the unfortunate thing was they were going to affect folks that are just everyday investors that have no idea.
And I don't know if anyone's been following the latest news, if you're, all the stuff that's happening in actually within the States in particular with some of the largest YouTubers, and I'm not going to say any names. I know we're small timers, but I know there's a lot of
We getting in trouble?
a lot of stuff that's happening from historic activities, promoting, like actually using the bull run to promote their products with their names of brands, and they have been cashing out at the last minute. There's a lot of that stuff that's happening right now, and a lot of eyes on it.
Speaking of that scam, I don't know if you saw this thing where it was like a kid. He had a token called like Gen Z Quant or something like that. He was like, he's a literal kid, he's a teenager. He pumped the token, got people like interested in it. A lot of people like, watch his live stream, Twitch or like pump.fund or whatever is the live streaming thing for this. And then live, he pulled out his funds, right? He rugged them basically. Like, so he had most of the amount of the tokens and stuff, and then sold a heap of his shares once it like reached a certain price, $20,000 US he got out of it, like 30,000 Aussie. And he did it live. And so people got pissed off. And here's the thing, everyone's cheering because, yeah, we got it up to like 30 million or 20 million or whatever it was. Like it got up to like really high. But the problem is, it's like, there was nothing, there's no usefulness of that. Maybe they'll build sustainable usefulness and utility into this token, but there never was to begin with. And all these people are like, oh, it's worth like 30 million. It's worth that because you're just getting more and more people to buy into it. But then what happens from there? It won't stay at that level.
Exactly.
If nothing, like if all these people that had it, A, get bored, B, there's nothing that's built on top of it, and C, just need to get their money out because cost of living is rising. So are we just creating an even worse situation than this guy just taking 20,000 from people? Now we've got hundreds of thousands of dollars that are potentially at risk, or millions really that are at risk unless we do something. So it's like we cheer about that, but man, this is my call to action. I'll show you the LinkedIn post here. We could just do so much better. Like we're moving from one shit thing to another shit thing. Guys, what the fuck? Out of my French, man. So, I get really passionate about this because too late, we'll beep it out. Maybe we won't. But I say the bad things, right? And so definitely check out you'll see footage from the talk that we'll do later. But I do want to leave with some positive news on the blockchain space,
please.
okay?
So there is a lot of positive. Like we talk about the strictly, but there's a
Absolutely.
lot of positive stuff.
And it's not just the price action, folks. Like if you think about it, traditional markets that I used to do research on from a macro and an equity research perspective, traditional markets, like you buy NVIDIA, you buy Coca-Cola, you buy housing stock, you buy even the ASX is listed on the ASX, right? You buy these things because these companies are building stuff, products, services, things in the real world that have value. They grow as a company, they generate revenue. You invest in that because you get the upside. Crypto, a lot of it has been on the promise of that, but not much in terms of delivery. And that is changing because on the delivery side, we're seeing things like our friends from Red Belly. Red Belly Network is this KYC blockchain, Australian founded from university researchers and government, I think government grants maybe or something like that. But anyway, they're doing great things. They announced at the start of the year, and it's a project that we've been helping out with, something called Hutley. So Hutley is this traditional real estate kind of network where landlords and tenants pay through, right? They're moving that to blockchain rails. And so all of a sudden you get the benefits of like having tokenization there. You get the benefits of being able to fractionalize and do stuff with programmatic money. You can have payments actually much more resource efficient And it just adds to, people don't need to feel that there's blockchain there, but they take advantage of the fact that, things are much more programmable now. The guys are also doing something with a group called Carbon Hood. So they're tokenizing, I think it's like $70 billion of carbon credits.
Yep.
So
US
Carbon Hood's
dollars as well.
US dollars, folks. So there are big things happening in this space where everyday things that you use, it might be even your frequent flyers, or like Starbucks did this with their promotion, or what is it, like their loyalty points. That was on blockchain, but they didn't say blockchain. So this is the thing. Blockchain is just tech. It will underpin a whole lot of stuff, but investments are going to be really interesting. And the final thing that I'm going to add is that the RBA, who did their CBDC pilots that we participated in to show how construction industry we could use, and in our case, it's all wholesale, so don't get scared, folks, about the retail side of things. But it was wholesale CBDC used as proof of reserve, so it was non-programmable. It just sits there. But it was to prove that if we had $20,000 of stablecoin, that it actually was $20,000 worth. And so the idea was that with construction, they don't do escrows for little jobs. Construction builders, subbies, and all that, they don't use it for that because it's too expensive. But with blockchain, escrows are so cheap. And so you have this protection of knowing that before you start a project, that the other side actually has money to pay you for that project. So really interesting stuff there. But why I'm saying this is because that was the start of last year. Now they're going into the next round, which is something called Project Acacia, and they're testing on wholesale just more stuff that you can do. We'll be pitching from Not Centralized a product or product. We'll be pitching like a use case with some different people to do something. So watch out for that, and I'll share the details here.
Nice. I guess we'll close it there. Let's start having a wander around and meet some of the other businesses and organizations that are part of this big crypto event. Yeah, thanks for listening, guys. Look forward to seeing you next week.
That's it. Episode 17 comes to a close, but we'll see you for all the extras. See you then.
Stay chilly.